second, you hear me? Mic check.
Check's good.
Awesome. All right, the time is 6:04 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order.
Recording in progress.
Awesome. And I will ask everybody to please rise. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please place the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And as soon as Lisa gets back, we'll do the roll call.
Commissioner Barrera is absent. Commissioner Flores?
Here.
Commissioner Almanza?
Here.
Commissioner Negrete?
Here.
Commissioner Harris?
Here.
Commissioner Armente?
Present.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Present.
Commissioner Salas? Did I mispronounce that?
That's okay.
Oh, if I mispronounce it, please let me know. Okay.
That will pass. Thank you.
Commissioner Martin?
Present.
And Staff Liaison Carter. Okay.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to public comments for items listed and not listed on the agenda. Do we have any speakers today? Oh, yes.
Where do I stand?
Oh, you hold on, I'll call you. I think it's right here. All right.
Does anyone have a timer?
Just a staff thing. And
I get to start?
we're going to start 3 minutes, but I think we need to get a timer.
Okay.
I'll start.
Having too much. All right. So we're ready. The timer will start whenever you're ready to begin.
Okay. So, it's great to see all of you. I missed the first meeting of this year. Sorry about that. And I would really appreciate it if my garden got more love on 6th and Headley. Then also, my favorite park, Harrison Canyon on 39th and Golden, is missing 3 picnic benches and 2 swings. And they've slowly disappeared over the years due to damages. And I tried calling Public Works on the matter because when I called Parks and Rec, they told me to go to Public Works. And they only have a voicemail that's full. So I would really appreciate it if you brought that to the attention of the Parks and Recreation Department. And items not on the agenda. I would also like to suggest a full review of Parks and Recreation ordinances, so that way you can create a comprehensive set of codes, so that way it can be accessible to anyone, which is one of my goals if I'm elected to City Council for every department. But also you could bring that up on your own as a full review. And how much time do I have left?
You have 1 minute and 30 seconds left.
Scott, am I forgetting anything?
No. I'm trying to get my head straight.
Okay. I think that's all the relevant things I have to say for this meeting. Can anyone think of something I forgot?
Introduction.
Oh, my name's Eric Marquez, I forgot. With a CK. And I noticed that the agenda was very minimalist. I don't really have anything to say about that, I just noticed. And I'm going to use every second of my time, mostly because I feel entitled to, I think. But also in case I remember something while I'm rambling. So, my strawberries are coming in nicely at my garden, and you're all still welcome to visit. Just ask. And I'm very proud of all my weeds. There's a lot of them. And yeah. Also, you could look over the rules for the garden. The office that oversees it is, do you know, it's like CID, Center of
And you're
Individual
at
Development.
3 minutes.
Okay, great. Well,
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Scott Olson. I am a lifetime resident of San Bernardino, and I'm somewhat involved in political campaigns are one of the fun things I have fun with. Joe can tell you all about it, and I think Ron is learning too. The garden. Okay, I work with Eric on his garden. It's a big garden. It's a very nice garden. It hasn't gotten a whole lot of love over the last couple decades. Okay, you can start with just the gate and the lock situation. That's frustrating enough. You guys have more problems with your locks and your gate than all of the community gardens I've been involved with since I started doing community garden. Okay, and that's in 1 month. Forget the whole time. The garden has several issues. The number one most important issue is the water pressure. Okay? If you don't get water, or there's not enough water, if there's more than 2 or 3 people at the garden trying to do something, and there's like 90 sites or whatever, I think there's more like 40, but either way, 40 or 90, water is important. If you don't get it for your plants, especially in the summertime, you don't have plants. Your jewel starts to look a little bit rough. The second part is the roads. They are in horrible shape. All you got to do is get somebody to turn around with a couple hundred cubic yards of gravel, bulldoze it in, work it in, and it's good for another 20 years. The third thing, and the easiest thing, and I've said anything about it, and I have seen nothing or heard nothing in feedback with, we currently have the city who voted to cut down to grind thousands of stumps. They make great wood chips. Instead of spending $100 a drop at the dump, drop a couple hundred cubic yards of mulch. Not mulch that you get from Vertec, but wood chip mulch. You have some in the garden. You have a site that's full of old wood chips. Nobody can garden there. Clean it up. Okay? Wood chips are used for weed control. If you want to have weed control, make mulch available. I could use 4 or 5 cubic yards easily just on my site, and I would have probably about 20% of the weeds I currently have to deal with. Okay? The shelter. I encourage all of you, visit the shelter. One of the big things you're going to be facing is the transition center coming in, right next door to the community garden. As a commission, I'd want to go to the garden, look at the fence lines, see what the issues are. Eric and I will have invited people who come. We'll show you everything. We'll let you see it so you can look at it. And the garden is this Parks and Recs facility. Therefore, there's no reason why you shouldn't. I mean, I know you're all busy. You got a lot of things going on. But there's a lot of things just by collaborating and working with each other. Wood chips, all it takes is these tree trimming guys. This is how they do it in the other gardens. I've been a part of the process. Everybody else does it but you guys. Welcome to San Bernardino. Everybody else is successful.
Okay.
San Bernardino's got to be different.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
Have a good one.
All right. Thank you for the public comments. Much appreciated. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next item on the agenda, presentations and the park master plan.
Okay.
And then just one question. If we wanted to address any of this, we can do it in the future agenda items, right? Agendize anything, public comments wise. If we had any questions about, let's say that.
Well, when it comes to the roundtable for commission.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Neely, can you hear? The speaker system is still a little funky. Can't hear you. Okay. are, started this park master plan, in process in 2023. We had a little bit of a pause, with administrative transitions. And so now we are back up and, we are back up. We are back up and running with, moving this forward, bringing the final, elements together. So what this is an update of, the progression of where we're at and where we're going. And so I'm gonna introduce, Neil Bhatt. He is the founder, CEO of, Next Practice, and the consultant that's been working with us on this, park master plan. So, Neil, go ahead.
You want me to share my screen and present?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me know if you can see my screen.
No.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everybody. Happy to be with all of you virtually here as well to share the close to final master plan presentation for a plan we've been working on the last about 2.5 years. My name is Neil Bhatt. I am the founder and CEO with Next Practice Partners. We're based in Indianapolis, but we do this all over the world. And fortunate to work with the city of San Bernardino and a number of them around you as well in recent times. So just as a quick recap, right, our general approach obviously led with a lot of public input, and physically and philosophically, the goal is to go where the community is. One of the big elements of that was looking at a multilingual ADA accessible website, mysdparks.com, which shared all the public input, meetings, up-to-date findings, etc. as well from there on. I have a lot of input across meetings, in person, online, in English, Spanish, sign language as well, and have the community show up in a number of different ways, including this very young, enterprising person who had a beautiful plan all laid out as well at all of 7 or 8 years of age as well. So we have the community of all ages, background as well, that really took part in the process. In addition to that, our team also conducted assessments of every single park and facility. Of course, keep in mind this is at a point in time. The plan started in 2023. At that time, obviously there was an injunction, and some of the concerns and things that we shared were reflective of how the community felt or what we saw in the parks at that time. Vanessa and the team have already done a really good job in addressing many of the things as well, so you certainly will continue seeing improvements going forward. These were all the sites that were assessed. Every one of the sites had the inventory that was captured as well, so each and every site has all its inventory documented for staff to manage going forward. All the ratings were done based on poor, fair, good, or great. You can see from 0 to 1 up to 5 across these 4 main areas that they were looked at as well. And our team then assessed all the parks based on these scores. So you can see from Blair Park and Colony being at high assessment scores to Encanto and Delman Heights and the gym, etc. as well being on the lower end of the spectrum. We also had the team do an aquatics assessment as well. 2 of the pools were operational at the time, the Jerry Lewis and the CID pool, which were assessed as well. And some of the key findings and recommendations from there focused on just, as you know this as well, the need for repairs going forward. There are going to be significant costs to address, COVID maintenance issues that we have. Obviously, construction costs, keep going up, and perhaps there may be a sense that you might not want to patch work every single pool, but perhaps consolidate and focus on addressing fewer but doing it well and ensuring that the residents get a better experience and you have reduced operating costs for the ones that are open as well. Of course, all this input then was also used to craft a statistically valid survey that was shared only with the city residents as well. And as part of that, the goal was 400 surveys, and we got 419 with 95% level of confidence and only 4.8% margin of error. What this really shows, give me 1 second please. Sorry, just a second. Alright, can you still see the screen? Okay. So you can see all the different 8 segments that are represented as well. We had visitation over the last 12 months. About 60% people said they visited, which is slightly lower than national averages of about 80% or so. And a number of them rated the park condition at that time as poor or fair. Only about 16% said it was good and 1% said it was excellent. The number one reason, or perhaps the top 3 are all interconnected, was don't feel safe, criminal activity, and park facilities not well maintained. All 3 of these, obviously, as you know, tied, and as we spoke to the community, to the unhoused population as well, vandalism and just not feeling safe in the parks. In terms of programs, a much better ratio as well, about 26% of the community participated in programs or events, which is just below the national average of 32. But in this case, a majority said that they were good or excellent. 60% said they were good or excellent, only 8% said they were poor. So despite the condition of the parks or some of the facilities too, staff has done a really good job in offering programs that the community likes and has enjoyed as well. The number one reason though why they don't participate is lack of awareness. 47% said that they don't know what is being offered, which is much higher than national average of less than 33%, and followed by don't feel safe and old and outdated facilities. So on the park and facility side, there is definitely a need for improvements, if you would. On the programmatic side, there's a lot more need in terms of awareness, marketing, promotions, etc. too. We then asked the respondents, if you had $100, where would you like to spend the money? And in this case, if you look at the top 2, maybe actually even the top 3, again, all tied to the primary barriers of safety and security. 31 out of $100 on safety security, another 21 on improving and maintaining existing parks, and nearly $14 on just more lighting in the park. So then we asked them, how important is it for the city to provide high quality parks, facilities, programs, and almost unanimous, as you can see, 97% said somewhat or very important. And even more encouragingly, 2/3 of the respondents said they are willing to pay additional $3 to $4 up to $9 per month per household if the city could use that to improve the parks, trails, programs, facilities that are important to them. This is really encouraging as well, knowing the socioeconomics of the community, that people are still willing to pay that much more. That's a really, really encouraging sign. Based on the perception of value, a majority, again in this case, 66% said they want the city to increase funding for Parks and Rec. Only 3% said reduce the funding. Again, another very encouraging sign of what Vanessa and the team are doing as well. The community values it, wants the budget to increase, wants it to be funded at higher levels in the future. The top 5 areas of concern for them, again, no surprise, homelessness and panhandling, blight, safety, crime, violence, and then significantly lower than that are other amenities, economic development, safe places for kids to play, so on and so forth. So taking all this information, we then craft the priority investment ratings for high, medium, and low priority. And this is where it's a combination of what is important to the community, and from that, what is an unmet need. So in this case, given the high extent of unmet need and what's important, there are no low priorities. Everything we have has only been a high or a medium priority. So as you can see, again, multi-use hiking, biking trails, safety, lighting. The maximum score possible is 200, so you can see those two are very close to that. Followed by walking paths, community parks, centers, small parks, shaded areas, all the way to off-leash dog park, performing arts theater, pool, etc. are all high priorities. Now programmatically, very similar as well in this case too. As you can see, fitness and wellness programs, special events, exercise classes, outdoor environmental nature camps, senior programs, counseling, so on and so forth, are all very high, with the rest being medium priorities as well. So we took all this information, we then put them in terms of documenting the levels of service and the mapping as well. And this is where, again, kudos to Vanessa, Melissa, the whole team as well for gathering all this inventory in one place. This is all the city inventory, the school district, the county, and the water department, all that put together for the first time here to show what is it that you currently have, what does the community have access to based on the current and future population. That gives you the current level of service, then the recommended level of service, and the difference between recommended and current. That's where you can either see that they meet the standards or a need exists. So you saw with the earlier assessments, we talked about the quality of what's available. This now gives you a sense of the quantity. And the final piece we did here is we actually mapped every single park and amenity on GIS-based mapping against your population to show where are there gaps or overlaps by every amenity type. So in that case, you can see here, this is, side by side neighborhood and community parks. The dark dot in the center is the actual location of that park. The standard, if you see on the top right, is 0.4 acre per thousand for neighborhood parks, 1.25 acres per thousand for community park. So the ring goes out till it meets that standard based on population density. There is no national standard for this. There is not even a California standard. This is customized to San Bernardino specifically as well to showcase what is it that the community does but does not have access. Same thing for dog parks and skate parks. You can see where you have them and where there are gaps. So if you are looking to add any in the future, this gives you a very objective and transparent way to understand where the community may want to put future ones as well. Ball fields, you can see significant overlaps in certain areas. Same with multi-purpose fields, but you also see gaps in other areas that you may want to consider addressing as well. Same with pickleball and tennis courts. Outdoor pools, like we said, you have a number of them, but many of them are not obviously functional or need a significant investment, and perhaps some consolidation is in play. And same with a lot of playgrounds here as well, where you have significant overlaps in areas, but also gaps in some others. Lastly, splash pads and indoor recreation spaces. In particular with the indoor rec space, as you saw, the community has a large need for adult fitness and wellness programs, for senior programs, for youth programs, etc. You don't have a lot of buildings, or the ones you have don't really have business plans for how and what should be offered, how they should be managed, priced, and most importantly, staffed as well going forward. So those are some of the recommendations coming out of this process, which eventually led to the visioning workshop with the entire staff over, again, several hours over a day, multiple iterations after that, to eventually come up with firstly the values to say what does the department stand for. Service, accountability, fun, and excellence were the ones they came up with. And then they looked at the major moves of the recommendations to say what might be the 5 major recommendations from the plan that they can look at and say, yes, this is what we want to focus on. And these were the ones that eventually came out as well as safety and security measures. Obviously, that's a huge priority. Also want to look at other funding sources for sustainable operations and growth. Facility upgrades and renovations for the ones you have. Also investing in the staff for their own development, growth and retention. And lastly, as you saw with lack of awareness as well, to strengthen branding and community engagement as well to again increase awareness. If more people know, more will participate. The more people participate, the more eyes you have in the parks, at the facilities and the programs, the safer it will feel for the community as well. So these were the major recommendations from here on. We're going to be looking at creating the draft and the final plan presentation and ultimately getting the plan adopted so Vanessa and the team can start implementing the plan. So this is about 2.5 years in 20 minutes or so. Happy to take comments, questions as well as you have. Vanessa, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, questions? Any of the commissioners have questions?
I do.
Alma?
When was the survey taken place?
2023.
In 20?
Yeah, when was the survey?
When did it take place? I don't assume.
Yeah.
Was it initiated in 23 and then concluded? I think concluded 2023.
Vanessa, could you check that speaker? Could it be that speaker doing some feedback? The podium?
It's a secret bug in the wall.
To the Twilight.
Can you hear?
Still there.
Okay. Let's try to work through it. The survey was taken in 2023.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I'm just,
Oh,
so,
okay.
I mean, that was what, 2 or 3 years ago, so
Yeah,
it
the
could,
month.
it could change, I mean, these statistics.
Correct, and that was what Nile was sharing about point in time. The during the initiation of this was when we had the injunction. The injunction was set and wasn't lifted until 24. So since then, we've had a tremendous amount of changes. I mean, you've seen our parks.
Yeah, okay.
So is this a 2023 plan that we're planning or a 2026 plan?
This is a 10-year plan.
A 10-year plan based off on outdated data,
It's not outdated, it's a live document.
live document. So we're still taking in surveys?
Surveys,
I mean, it's a live, you said a live, but the
The-
data
the-
that we took in was our surveys, right? Is that data being?
that data is being incorporated into this.
But that data is from
Moving
3 years ago?
forward- 23, 24, but moving forward, I mean, we'll still have other elements of surveying and in a smaller capacity or program centric or event centric.
But the crux of it will be from 3 years ago?
No,
You're saying the GIS mapping is live, is that what you're saying?
all of it is live in terms of the infrastructure, the parks, the programs, all the like current CIPs that we have going on.
But with
That's all.
the community input and what the community wants, that's not live. That's 3 years ago?
We're still moving forward with adding additional community input. We just had like the La Plaza Park and we have the community input, so that
No,
gets taken into
I was there and the
consideration.
community, the community was not pleased.
Okay, well, staying on the park master plan elements of these will go into effect, yes.
So it's not gonna get updated throughout the process, we're just gonna stick with the original survey and then maybe current upgrades to parks.
We'll address items as we get funding as we get projects going, and you know, the elements of things are going to change, because and this is going to be a 10-year, but yes, standards change, you know, environments change, communities change. So yes, all of that will always be taken into consideration. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Salas?
When you say a 10-year plan, is it 10 years from 2023 or 10 years from adoption?
10 years from adoption.
Okay. And then also within the kind of master plan and 10-year plan, is there already identified timelines of when there will be like a kind of like a review of the plan, like a large scale review? I hear you saying we get input, like, you know, the smaller kind of things, and then also with the CI projects and stuff like that plays a part in the master plan. But is there, like, you know, when you like have a maybe like a 10-year plan, you'll say in 5 years we want to have a large revision?
So this is adopting the and sharing the scope of what. Let me just go over it real quick, just so I can address everybody as a whole. And our Zoom cut out, so I'll have to connect with them after. So the intent of the plan is to provide the layout of the amenities and the infrastructure, and providing that, you know, addressing those areas and utilizing it as a foundation moving forward. And we're also working on it now, but once it's fully adopted, then creating that strategic plan and business plan, and looking at the elements of how are we going to connect this area, if there, you know, and address these needs, and who are we going to bring to the table as well in terms of partnerships and development.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Do you know why the school fields were part of the ratings? Because it's a separate funding, it's completely separate from city funding, and it's a different entity that has the oversight for the school fields.
They do and they don't, because there are several school sites that we have city access.
Are the ones included here those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then if any and then also we have like joint use agreements with certain amenities at the school district, such as some of their fields and some of their pools. So those are identified because we use it as community space.
No one else? Okay. And
I was supposed to go after,
Yeah.
but
go ahead.
you go, then I'll go.
No, go ahead. I'll wait.
I'm good. You're on a roll.
Go for it. Finish this, man.
On, it's this, well, it's actually, on one of your second pie, right, of the presentation. It's asking, have you or any members of your household visited City of San Bernardino parks and recreation facilities during the past 12 months? And there was a 40% that said no. However, when you look at the pie chart that's right next to it, and it starts asking, you know, like, overall, how would you rate the physical condition of the City of San Bernardino parks and recreation facilities that you have visited? How did they differentiate between the 40% that said no and what their input was on on the ratings? So does that mean that the 100% for the second one would be equal to the 60% that actually have, or did the 40% also have a say on rating the facilities? Because that to me doesn't make sense. Like, if somebody hasn't been there, how can they critique a place that they haven't been to?
That would be a question for the consultant on how they did the statistics
Choosing
on
the skip
that.
logic.
In some cases, you may only go to one location, and Joe only goes to another location, so you're only identifying that location that you went to. And like, we have, 40 ball fields, we have 6 pools, we have, so not everyone is gonna go to one location throughout the other. But to specifically answer your question, I don't have that, because they're the ones that, as a consultant, put that together.
It's usually a skip logic. So if you answered this question and you answer no, then it skips for the other question. So this percentage of 100 is 100% of the probably
Of the
the
60.
that responded.
And the consultant would know for sure. Is there a way to get the consultant back on?
Probably just call them.
Yeah, we give a phone call.
You don't need them on. You don't need
But the
space.
city doesn't pay for Zoom?
And we don't need the echo.
Start seeing commercials.
I know. Like the same.
Pay your dues.
Okay.
Questions.
Well,
that maybe
until-
we could bring back.
Until that question gets answered, do you have any more?
No, because the next one was related to the same thing, so that,
Okay, I'll go.
yeah.
All right. So is this master plan a part of the overall 20-year master plan that is out of date for the city? Or is this a, which I appreciate, Parks and Recreation getting its house in order to present this to the public, which is good. Because to me personally, when you have, I don't like Parks and Recreation doing their own without the Art Commission doing theirs. And then how does that fit into ours? How does Public Works fit into theirs? Like, and again, this is probably not the purview of this commission, but because to me, a master plan for a city is supposed to be about 20 years, 15 to 20 years, right? It's supposed to be a long-term vision.
Yes.
And you're telling me that this is supposed to be, the scope and shape of this is supposed to be 10 years. So, to me, this is half of a plan. If it's supposed to be 20, when our old one is 20 years outdated anyways. So, I think this is a good start. It's a place to make a marker in the sand to maybe proceed from, but I would love to see when something back from the city manager's office about how he is interacting with all the department heads, and the police chief is a department head of the police department, where the cabinet is coming up with an overall master plan for the entire city. Because when we talk about safety, okay, then how does police interact with, to make our parks safer? How does, if we need more utilities to our parks, what is the Public Works Department doing to be able to bring capacity to our parks so we can have flushing toilets and more lights, because it all requires power and water? Where's the water company on making water bigger, more pressure, you didn't want bigger water pressure, but more water pressure at our city-sponsored garden? Like, how is the whole, like when you go to the doctor, you get a full medical checkup. This is like more like I'm getting old, more like a very specific procedure that you would do to check out a specific part of your body, if I can use that analogy. So, can you speak to that?
Yes.
And is Austin Power to say, throw me a bone on something maybe larger that's going to be going on?
Let's throw you the wrong. So, yes, this, and I got Nelia back on Zoom, so we'll get that figured out. So this park master plan is that, your analogy of, specific, identifying, within the park and recreational community services system. Yes, we are having conversations with outside agencies, county, water, fire, PD, as well as our internal departments, public works, economic development, community development, we are all in constant communication on addressing as a unit, as, we have the executive level, aside from right now, the economic development director position, that's still being, vacant. They're looking to fill that. And our finance director will be coming on board shortly. So executive level wise, in the 5 years that I've been here, we haven't had that level of executives in every position filled. So we are working collectively, cohesively on this. To answer your question in regards to the full general plan that PlaceWorks is the consultant I'm working on, yes, I have been in constant communication with them and incorporating this park master plan elements into the general plan
So
as well.
this gentleman from this consultant, they are gonna be doing the general plan too?
No.
Okay,
No,
I'm
it's a different consultant. It's a different consultant,
Okay.
but both consultants will be communicating together.
There is a consultant for the general plan.
There's been a consultant for the general plan. The consultant organization is PlaceWorks. And so, the departments are involved with that as part of the general plan, incorporating these elements. The park master plan components have been shared, and so that they are integrating that into that.
Okay, the consultants are talking to each other?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
With the update to the general plan, is that an opportunity for us to get some more sort of up-to-date information, like as to, do you foresee like questions like this being asked specifically for Parks and Recs through the general plan process?
Possible, they're still working out and massaging, so I don't know that's not in my wheelhouse. That's under community development. I'm facilitating and providing what is in from my area, my wheelhouse, and sharing with that. But so I'm not sure what their projection is, because we are going to be doing these presentations. We have been in communication. We are having one-on-ones with city council to update them. The city manager has been updated several times. We've been having meetings. And then we will be presenting at the council meeting as a presentation, and then having an additional community input meeting as well to facilitate this.
For instance, and I'll give you an example of how this would maybe be beneficial. And I know that you said, there's Lady Good about getting parks, starting to have parks in different parts of the city where there are no parks. So if my fellow commissioners want to, and they don't have to, but I'll tell them, I don't know where it is, but on here, there are no city parks east of Patton Hospital. And so it's, when we, and this would be a planning question, but for Parks and Recreation to work with planning and for economic development, when we have a home developer come into our community, and I know that having parks isn't a housing unit that they can sell and make money. Developers are into making money. But if the city would mandate that if there's, I don't know why you're even speaking in Spanish right now, for example, in 50 acres of X, Y, and Z land, that 2% of that could be a park that would be accessible to the outside community too, would be fantastic. Because we had the people on the east side, and when I mean the east side, I mean the tail end of the east side, like way out towards Highway 330. They have literally no parks in their community, none. They have a fantastic sports complex, is banging. You get, when you told me that, we only have 2 club teams that compete in the San Bernardino, when I asked that question a couple of months ago, I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Because I went, my nephew, there's like, when they have, during soccer season, they'll have like tournaments with like 80 teams come to that park. So that kind of serves the fourth ward, but it's in the second ward technically. It's right on the edge, right?
On the edge.
It's on the edge. It's on famous, but there are no other. There's a skate park that's kind of near there, right? They could serve a little bit near the fourth ward, but up towards where Patton is above Highland and that tail end of the city, there are no park amenities. So
As far as the general plan, they're working on language in terms of developers coming in, because we are, part core community in terms of acreage and open space, so we're looking at those elements as well and how we could maximize our spaces and in terms of developers coming in of creating parkland open space.
because the percolation basins behind Wildwood are owned by our own water company. It's not a county facility. It's the San Bernardino Water. And they would be able to just knock down that wall, knock down that fence, put some ballards so no one can drive up there, and they have paved walking spaces up there. The city of Irvine, that's what they did across their entire city. They already have and they just put little fences up so people can't go into all of the percolation basins. We have so much open land in San Bernardino. I mean, our trails are fantastic when they're maintained in different parts of the city. And that's city land. Our map goes pretty deep into the San Bernardino Mountains. It goes all the way up into Waterman Canyon, past the historic hotel for those who need a geographical marker to think about where that is. And start looking, I'd like to see Parks and Recreation start looking into I see nothing in here about open space, about using our trails that are actually city property. I know a lot of it's county, but a lot of it is also city property.
Walk, bike, and hiking not hiking, but trails are incorporated into the park master.
Okay.
And then Esme?
Out of the 419 responses that you received, how many of those would you say that were you aware of the socioeconomics of the responders? Do you know where they came from? What areas you targeted in San Bernardino?
Are you asking for the survey specifically?
Correct.
Yeah, so the survey asks for gender, race, ethnicity, and how long they've lived there, but the survey does not ask for income levels. And it does ensure that it is done across the entire city, but only residents of the city.
So would you be able to give a percentage? We're divided into 7 wards. Do you know how many of the 419 came from, the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the seventh?
No, I don't think they were, at the time the ask was to break them up by wards to do it, as much as it was to do it citywide.
We can see on the map that you offered that some of the parts in our city, some have more services or parks that are closer. Why wasn't that considered important?
So I think the maps are what we have done based on what exists in each of the areas right now as well. So it's not realistic to expect that you will have, for example, one swimming pool in each ward, or one pit, let's say splash pad or skate park in each one. The idea was to look at, based on these service area rings, where the access goes. As someone mentioned earlier too, some of your sites are so close to neighboring cities or more to the county as well, but they fall within city boundaries. So the idea was to ensure equitable access. Someone in one ward may actually have access to an amenity in another ward that they are closer to versus their own ward as well. So the idea was more to ensure that within the city's boundaries, people have access when it comes to parks, within a 10-minute walk, when it comes to amenities, based on certain population standards that are recommended.
Any other questions?
But yeah, I think to add to Esme's points, I think it would have been valuable to know where the respondents are, or a heat map. I mean, if they're all coming from Vermont
it would kind of,
Well,
it would change
we're
it.
taking it as a holistic approach as a city and not ward
Oh,
centric.
definitely. But as holistic, the city is not just one entity. It's composed of a lot of neighborhoods in a lot of different areas. So
Right.
it'd be useful to
We
know.
have to approach it as a whole, where
Yeah.
we have
A whole pot
representation
together.
from the ward systems as an advisory commission, but we are as a programming and facilitating for a city as a whole.
In order to verify they were in San Marino residents, I mean, the address or location had to be grabbed at some point, I assume, right?
It could have
Yes.
encompassed an area. That's one of the things, like, your survey could have encompassed an area.
I mean, yeah.
So, 419 were turned in, submitted, but how many were actually sent out, Neely?
Usually a 10% response rate is typical for surveys like this, so anywhere from 3 to 4,000 households were actually mailed the survey.
Okay, but out of the 419, you can verify what part. They had to be a location in the city, San Bernardino, right? In order for them to.
Yes.
Wait, what was the mailing
if-
list again, the total?
Sorry?
What was the mailing list total that you
He was
have?
guesstimating 3 to 4,000.
Again, like I said, usually a response rate is about 10 or 12% for something like this. So if we get 419 back, probably 3 or 4,000 of these were mailed out. There is no cap. If more people respond, the survey company that did this independently would capture as many surveys as they get. What they do track for is that because for statistical reliability, it has to be random and it has to be anonymous. So for all of these, that's something that is communicated to the respondents before they start as well. If some household tries to take the survey twice, or they have an address that is not within the city's boundaries, then those data points are not counted for. So they ensure for statistical reliability. That's why what you saw at the start is a 95% level of confidence and a 4.9% margin of error, which means that if I do this 100 times over, 95 out of 100 times the results you see will be within a margin of error of plus or minus 4.9% all of those times.
Just out of curiosity, did anyone receive that here? Any of the commissioners?
I did not.
Nope. Did any of you receive that survey? Any of you commissioners here?
I want to say I received a mail survey, but I don't believe I completed it.
It sounds slightly familiar.
Yeah.
I feel like, but it was in 2023, so.
I thought I did one online.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel
Yeah.
like
I thought
a
someone
couple
said,
years
hey,
ago
do
there
one
was
online,
like
they're
one
taking, the city's
online.
taking input. Or no.
And the NAC was doing one too.
That was for the
Mhm.
city manager.
There's a few going around.
Aside from the surveys, that multiple community input meetings were held throughout different areas of the community. So we had firsthand, face-to-face testimony and questions, and feedback. And so all of that was taken all into factor when putting this together. And then again, like Neely said, we had multiple meetings and gatherings just internally with staff to talk about internal services and what everyone's engagement in as well with the community, because they are different neighborhoods.
Could we receive the information of where those face-to-face community meetings that he set up took place? Because I know of one, and that was the one that took place at the library. I'm unfamiliar with having that,
We
any
had
other ones that he
There
had.
was one up at, it was a First Baptist Church up off of University in that area. Can't think of the name. We had the library, I think we had a couple at the library. What else
Could
was
we
there?
find out the attendance? I mean, he was present at that one. Other than that, I don't know where else he was. Could we figure out what the
Yeah,
input
we have
was?
we have the timeline of that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, was the plan to do this plan before, with the 23, and it just got pushed back, or was this always the plan? Is this just how long it takes?
No, with administrative changes, there was a pause on the continuum of the progress of it.
So, and with that pause and then that huge change that we had with the removal of the injunction, would it be wiser to go back to council and ask for more funds to actually do another survey?
It was $1 million that was given to them for this.
So that's what we're sharing, that it's a live, the park master plan is a live document. And as we create a strategic plan and a business plan, and align also with the general plan, we'll have current, yes.
Okay.
What I would recommend typically, these surveys, usually 5 years is a good point in time to do another statistically reliable survey. They are expensive as well. And so, again, the only time we done within a shorter window of time are the plans we finished or were close to finishing just before the pandemic, because that was a significant change, right? So everything evolved after that as well. So those were the points in time when surveys were done within less than 5 year windows. Otherwise, we'd say, again, just for financial reasons too, and to get enough of a sense of the community, a 5 year time frame is probably a good one to do a needs assessment survey again. That is also another reason why I've done maybe 150 of these plans now, and there isn't a single Parks and Rec system master plan we're doing anymore that is 20 years. I serve on the board of the National Rec and Park Association, and these plans are 10-year plans with also a recommendation for a 5-year update. Again, because of how quickly things change, and if you want to be a nationally accredited agency, it is required that you update your plan every 5 years. So most plans, and I've done the large ones from Los Angeles, Vegas, Miami, Atlanta, San Diego, to ones all around you from Norco to JCST. We're doing Redlands as we speak as well. That in every one of those, these are all 10-year plans with a 5-year midpoint in terms of an update as well. That is exactly where the industry is right now. And because of how much things are changing, that you want to be more up to date with the community, both in terms of their needs and trends. 10 years ago, I hardly heard pickleball. Now it's the #1 sport in the country. Same thing as we're seeing as well with where things are going with technology too, that you want to try to stay as current as possible, which is why the ability to have a plan updated gives you that flexibility and the responsiveness to your community and the constituents.
Okay. And then my question to the plan, it looks like you're going to be going through some crime prevention through environmental design. With community input, we've noticed through another project with La Placita, with Rick Engineering, the community is wary of that becoming hostile infrastructure. Is that something you guys are looking to make sure that none of that becomes hostile infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So again, our team has looked at individual sites and amenities. Actually, Vanessa connected us with the general plan consultants, that we're going to talk to them as well. Again, for very much these same reasons, because we're seeing exactly like you said, more and more community asks have started coming around things like shade and shade structures, even more than actual amenities itself, because of how difficult it's become to use them at certain times of the year, right? That coupled with aging infrastructure. So yes, that is very much in the works, and as we recommend the CIP, it will account for things like that based on the condition of amenities in each park. So Vanessa and the team have a sense of what is any major and critical need that you need to spend money on to fix or replace now, versus what is something that you should be planning for 3 or 5 years down the line that you can budget for accordingly and not be surprised.
Okay. And then that's it for me. Anybody have any more questions? No, thank you for your time. That was really thorough. Thank you for answering that questions.
No, great questions. I appreciate your leadership and the engagement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mile. We'll connect.
Thank you, Vanessa. All right, bye-bye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Think everybody had great questions, great input. All right, moving on to the next part, action items. Department Director report.
Wait, there was consent.
Consent. Did I miss? Oh, yeah, I completely. Whew. Consent calendar, approval of draft minutes.
Move to approve.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
And then, everybody that are voting to approve, please raise your hand. And voting to not approve, please raise your hand. Abstentions, please raise your hand. Motion passes. All right, now we move on to action items. Let's go to the Department Director report. Thank you.
All right. So, 2026 events, we have Saturday, the third annual Lunar New Year event. It's starting at 12 o'clock, 12 to 6. We have a full stage lineup of performances, cultural performances. We have a Vietnamese dance group, Filipino dance group, Chinese flute player. We have a dragon lion dance. So a lot of stage presence, music. We have over 50, I think we're at 55 or 56 vendors. Plus all of our kids zone or our family activities happening, interactive to our craft station. We have a partnership. We're developing a relationship and almost a partnership with the Chinese Student Association with Cal State San Bernardino. So they'll be out and they'll be, with calligraphy. So they'll be out there doing that and kind of showing the families with that. Several of our departments are going to be out there. Animal services, we have our PD department will be out there. It is the year of the horse, so we'll be welcoming that. So we'll have tomorrow we start. We're made sure that this weather went away. So tomorrow we'll be out there decorating for the lunar event, and then we come showtime on Saturday. So we are doing the official welcome at 12 o'clock with procession, and then we will have remarks from our dignitaries, as well as we have sponsors that we'll be recognizing at the beginning as well. So we always encourage, to share the event and come out and support, bring your family. We'll have a variety of food, within the Asian cultural food as well. So trying to get more, but we're working on it. Additional, which I do apologize if we didn't bring the actual hard copies. March 28th is the annual Easter egg hunt, our egg extravaganza. So that'll be taking place at Lattle Creek Park. It seems to be that location. It's pretty open for families and big green space that we have there. So that information is out. I'll share the flyers digitally so you have them. And then our Arbor Earth Day event in April will be on Saturday, April 11th. And our Arbor Earth Day revitalization is going to be held at the community garden from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so we have a series of volunteers already signed up that will help with facilitate work within the community garden area. We have several resources. We have a partnership with UCR, the agricultural department. They'll be you have to sign up for it, but they'll be giving out trees for residents, not because these are specific to the community, the residents. They're not designed for the community garden, but we will have other additional environmental and sustainable resources and organizations out there. We are in communication with the Neighborhood Association, NAC, to be out there as well. And so we are working on that. We did have Vertec coming in and delivering compost and mulch. That will be not just for the community garden, but for the community as well. So if anybody wants get some and take some home to, we have, individuals like to start up a little community, their own little raised bed gardens. We have, within our community centers, we have a grant, through the county, for intergenerational programming, so we're doing a little raised bed, indoor gardening, that we've been starting at our community centers and our senior centers as well. Let's see, March, April, May, Memorial Day, we'll be in front of City Hall for Memorial Day celebration. Once we have that flyer ready to go, I also share, we were working out the graphics and the design for our full 2026 calendar. That will have the date and the event name, so that way we can get it out so that you have it all, so you know what we're doing for the whole year and get it on your calendars, and that way you can share that information. So that is for events. Public park restroom updates. We are working collaboratively with Public Works Department. We were able to do some site scoping with some of the locations to identify the units and locations, and also the level of service that each of the facilities needs. And then also working with our custodial in terms of identifying the types of service so that we could put the request for proposal or the quote together so that we can send out that RFQ for a outside vendor to provide services to our public restrooms. And we would identify specific locations within our more active locations, and see what that is going to entail in cost. We're also doing a scope of with construction, and as well as for if some restrooms need a little bit more infrastructure, rehabilitation versus if some minor electrical or water elements need to be replaced. So there's a lot, and so it is taking time because of the capacity and the number of projects and everything, all the other elements that go into it, and having consultant and assessments being done. So it is active working. For the internal capacity, it is moving pretty quickly. From a community standpoint, it may not look like we're moving quickly, but it is moving forward. It's not, I can tell you it is moving forward. I'm involved with it and having the conversations and having conversations with consultants and contractors and landscape architects as well. So we are hoping to go at least get the RFQ out to through Planet Bids, so that typically is anywhere from, depending on how far we want to reach, could be anywhere from 30 to 90 days once it's posted.
Do you have the information of what parks are going to be addressed based on priority, like a priority list?
There's some, also too, some of our parks don't have a restroom. So we're kind of identifying that, right? And then, yes, we're gonna look at activity level of locations of parks, and also too, if there's we're now getting into ball season. So when it comes to ball season, the restrooms at certain locations are going to be accessible to the public once seasons officially start.
It was me. You answered my question about the baseball fields.
I had a question. When you said assess based off of activity level, is that activity level, like, when you say that, do you mean like city-sponsored activities, or do you mean like foot traffic?
Foot traffic.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. If at any point there's a reservation, right now the municipal code is there is a reservation, or city-sponsored event or organization hosting an event, those restrooms do get opened up at that location. unless there's a location that do not have restrooms, that an event is being hosted, like at Tom Minor or at Harrison Canyon, then portable restrooms would be brought in. CIP updates, biggest, two of the biggest ones, right now, or three actually, kind of west, mid, east, are the west side, Nicholson Park. We are, if you drive through, it looks completely done, and yeah, it probably is, or it is, at least the full structure of it. What we are, it's still in the maintenance period, which is making sure that everything is functioning, everything's growing, everything is there, and has to be monitored for that 90 days. So grass has to grow, it's got to get cut, got to grow again. So that we're still in that 90-day period, which is ending. I believe March 1st is the deadline, is the ending date. And then once that is done, then the contractor has a punch list of items to address for completion of the project. So we haven't been given that timeline of when the punch list items will be completed yet. I'm hoping we have a follow-up meeting next week with the contractors and city staff to go over that element of it, and that way it gives me and us a clearer picture of when we'll be able to actually host the opening. In addition to that, we are actively designing and developing the phase 2 and getting that initiated right away with the community center. So the structure of the community center is solid, and so the design and the construction will be internally and getting it revamped. Because I'll be honest, I haven't been there inside, just seen from the outside. So once we have plans to be able to get in and start looking and assessing what layout and how things are, so that way we can get that park fully activated. Mid city, Second Lake, if you drive by, you start seeing all the things starting to kind of build and grow. We're still in the phase 1, and a lot of accessibility, access. Within the next couple of weeks, you'll start seeing some additional facilities or buildings kind of coming in, and those are the prefab with restrooms, new restrooms, kind of meeting space, concession space. The playground is pretty much in. They're putting the shade structures in next week. We have a delay in weather, so that doesn't help. Then if you, I think, yes, so there's going to be an extension of Second Lake, and it's going to be on to phase 2, and that is with funding that was approved, and we are going to council next council meeting to accept additional funding from Ramos's office for additional work at Second Lake. And so we're working with the current architect and architect, design, and contractor to see how much they can still, under their contract, can still do. And then when it gets to the point where the things that are in the phase 2 elements, then we have to go out for another RFQ for construction on that. So it's moving quickly on that. Yes.
Oh, so the last conversation we had on Second Lake was they were working on the lake and the bridge.
That was already part of the phase 1.
Okay, so that's we're good. Are we on target, on schedule?
The bridges have been completed as far as the contractor. So they're working in their phases of elements. So the bridge work is done. Additional lake elements is going to be part of phase 2.
Okay.
And additional ADA signage, restroom, dog park elements. We're looking at a pickleball courts to be added within the footprint.
Okay, thank you.
Going all the way to the east side, we have Spiker Park. So that became a multi-field project, and so we had some delays with the meter connection with SCE, and so that all got worked out, and they're working on all of that irrigation and all of the electrical elements with that. That is also adding a second phase to it, so that it's not just the fields, but now we're moved north of the park, and so we're looking at, if you can picture Spiker, it's a linear field or linear park, and kind of in between where the basketball skate park is and the ball field, there's this another open kind of grass space. So we're looking at turning that location into a multi-use field, because we don't have a lot of multi-use fields within the community, and that would be for potentially additional soccer and football, and then some other elements of that. With looking at addressing the restroom, public access, and then the skate park was done already, and we have that other kind of corner space. So we're looking at different elements of seeing how much we can stretch the funding. Going back kind of this way, Lotto Creek Park, we had RFQ went out for architectural design. This is the Lotto Creek Community Center project, which also addresses the public restroom. So we're kind of breaking it up into two elements under one. So we're addressing the public restroom. So that is moving forward. That's going to be a completely new restroom, the prefab, and then the architect, the RFQ is for design for the community center. So once we get that approved, and architect approved, then we'll work with them for the rehabilitation of the community center as a whole. But we're looking at, there's still like popcorn ceiling in one of the areas, flooring, walls, electrical, ADA compliance, we look at accessibility from the parking into the community center. We do already have the automated doors there, but we're looking at ADA doors that are on the rear side of the facility. And then of course, outside to make it look, vibrant and inviting.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have a guesstimated start date on this project? No.
No. Those are kind of the big ones, the bigger ones. We have a lot of the small ones. Just completed was a small at Anne Sherrill's Park, the gazebo. If you've never seen it, it was in pretty bad shape. So we were able to address that, and just got that completely, not all completely redone, but it was the structure of it, and the facade was all done. So the next element is seeing if we can get it painted in one solid color, and we're looking at seeing adding some picnic benches and putting them back underneath the gazebo space.
Was that the gazebo towards the baseball field?
Yeah, the one's kind of in the middle between
Center.
there is a community center there and the ball field.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
When anyone's using the parks for profit, are they required to take out a permit with the city?
Parks for profit?
No, where they're using, they themselves for profit, like when they're using the park for their own personal profit, are they required to take a?
Yeah, any activity that's outside of a family picnic, and even that of, there's reservations to, with permitting, yes. if someone wants to go to a park and there's a gazebo and they want to, go and eat and have lunch or have something on a Saturday afternoon, and if it's open, it's open. The reservation guarantees the space if you're trying to host a birthday party, or, we get a lot of birthday parties, a lot of baby showers, especially in the spring, summer, a lot of, baby showers, and, so those, individuals come and do reservations. And if an organization wants to host an event at a location, then yes, they have to go through the permitting process. Great. Wanted to share about, so San Bernardino County Fire approached the city. They are also trying to get their infrastructure up to par to accommodate the growing community, and changing some of their firehouses to accommodate the services, the service levels. There is a new fire station, 247, 246, on the other side of Pacific High School. I can't think of the street that's off.
Del Rosa.
Yeah, so that was a brand new firehouse, three bay firehouse to accommodate, and then I think that one's getting a ladder truck as well. And so they're looking and assessing their existing firehouses and how they could best suit, whether they keep them there at that location, or if they are looking at building a new one at a different location to accommodate the community and the service levels of where they're at. So specifically with Fire Station 222, it's on 9th Street, and it's on the corner of 9th and Garner. It's on shares the property of Bobby Vega Park. So across the street is Encanto Community Center Park. And since it's already facing a major street for them to have egress ingress, so their ask is to modify their layout so that they would have additional bay space. So there would be, so if you know the park, they're in the very corner, and they have parking behind them, and then literally next to them, there's two tennis courts. So the conversations and what we're looking at is surplus land act. There's several elements that we're looking at in terms of space and usage, and of them will have a full face of 9th Street of Bobby Vega, and then with relocating the tennis courts to a different location within the park space. So those are conversations. We're having administrative timelines, looking at all laws and policies and evaluation of the park, because it would be to relocate the amenities, because I'm not going to omit any amenities, especially in our areas of the community where we may not have an amenity like pickleball or tennis. And even if, two people use it once a week, that's still two people that are using it once a week.
Are there any pickleballs on the west side?
No, and so the conversation is converting, if there's two tennis courts, it'd be the same size, and so with the tennis courts, we can convert one tennis court into two pickleball courts. So if we do a tennis court and then two pickleball courts, we're actually adding a new amenity to the community, but then adding a third element, so.
Like, cool, the fire department can just put it on the roof.
Right.
Right.
So-
No foul.
Yeah.
And people would pay extra for that.
Is there any community input in these conversations?
Not for this, no.
And is there going to be at any point?
No. Now, we will take that back. There will be, because any, we're looking at if it's a land swap, or if it's a evaluation of it, so any element would come to council for discussion. we have to bring it, we do have to bring it into a public hearing, because of the space. But we are within a threshold, within the Surplus Land Act, they're not taking up additional space. They're basically their footprint is just kind of moved over, and then we are still keeping, the amenities.
Okay, but so no plans for input until the hearing or until the process is underway?
Yes.
That just doesn't jive in my brain, because I play Jenga with my students all the time. Like, when you move one piece over here, then you move in this case, what is the space for two tennis courts, thank you, over to another space, then you are putting, what are you taking away from that space where the tennis courts are going to be?
So
Am I thinking about this
there's two options.
incorrectly?
I'm sorry?
Am I thinking about this incorrectly, or?
No, we're looking at it as there's, if you look, no Bobby Vega Park, there's
I've been there,
green space that is, not utilized to, it's not utilized. It's just kind of this piece of square land, grass space that's it's underutilized. So it would be utilizing, putting an amenity in that utilization space, or we're looking at the assessment of looking at it as there is, an outdoor, obviously it's outdoor, a volleyball, court, and that is for sure not being used. And so we're looking at that location
I
of
challenge
revitalizing
the
that.
premise that question is premised on, that if it doesn't have a said use by the city, like, if this object was used for nothing, it would still be an object. And someone could conjecture what that use might be, but it doesn't have to be defined. So that green space that you're talking about, okay, I've never seen it before, and I have an idea of where it was. We did a Love Your Block in that area, so I have an imagination of what that looks like. But we're presuming that there's no labeled space for that space. Does that make sense?
Correct, and so we look at it.
I don't.
We're trying to maximize.
People, I know, I understand, but people in the Western tradition think about open space not having a use, and I professly am against that kind of that mindset. Open space is open space, and someone may walk through there and say, "I'm going to meditate in this open space." Someone may say, "I'm going to propose to my future wife in that space." It's just open space. I can make it whatever I want to make it. It's based off the imagination of what the person wants to do in that space. So I don't know. I don't jive with that. Am I off on this, or?
We're looking at it
Are
and
commissioners
maximize.
Am I? If I?
Well,
I swear I have no chemical.
I'm not omitting an amenity. I think that's for sure.
Is that?
I'm not going to omit an amenity.
Yeah,
Because there are no
but I'm not-
tenants or.
But
on
I'm
that
saying
side.
I'm not saying that you are going to eliminate, but you're talking about moving something that has a stated purpose to a place where the purpose is the limit of the imagination of the person who's going to be in that green space. That the city doesn't necessarily say, oh, there's no use in that space, but there is, based off who they're walking and occupying in that space. I don't know.
I think you could make a good point. That's something that can be ascertained with community input before we get to.
I know. Okay.
I see what you're trying to say, you know?
Yeah, because we should have some open space that serves no purpose, so to speak.
And there
And just
is,
because-
there is
Because
open
we have
space
too much usage in
throughout
this
the park.
society.
There is space throughout the park. You know, there also, so.
But that part will be taken away. But okay.
I've never been to the park, so I don't know.
It's used. There's a group that rents the fields there, right, or near Encanto Park.
Bobby Vega there's a gazebo, playground, a walking path, there's fitness circuit, restrooms, there's a small community garden behind it, and then the tennis courts.
Is that where the Suavecitos have their event?
No, that's the Plaza Park.
La Plaza, okay, but now with the, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
With the
and
Plaza.
Consul Park is across the street, and that has 2 baseball fields. There's outdoor,
And then
racquetball court.
who's the group that does Encanto Park or the baseball field? PN something? The that rents the baseball fields or is in charge of oversees the fields there?
Our department oversees all the fields.
Are those rented out already to somebody?
In Concho, we have Pony, and sometimes KKC uses it, and then our adult softball uses it on Friday nights. But then there's a ball field, South Major Park that Pony actually uses, and then Gutierrez Park where KKC and Little League uses. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you. All right. So, do you have any more updates?
No.
Okay, let's move on to discussion. Anybody anything they want to bring up now?
Wait, who was, did you?
No, I just saw your hand. I thought you
Okay.
were gonna go.
I didn't know if you were raising your hand. Do we know, is San Bernardino going to the California Parks and Rec Society that's happening? There's some event coming on Expo. It's the California Parks and Rec Society. It's an expo that takes place in March.
CPRS, yes. We have a couple of staff that are attending.
Are you attending?
I don't know yet based off of my schedule.
Oh.
I may go, I want to try to go for at least one day. I've been before.
I haven't been. I know that one of the volunteers from our Wildwood Park has been there, and she was highly recommending that, like, we have staff that goes. And I know Liddy Goodfield went before, but, I was thinking maybe you would go, and it was also recommended for us to attend. I just don't know,
As far as we can get a day pass to go to the expo. That we can get, and that the expo is vendors from playgrounds to irrigation to from lighting. There's all kinds. We work our for like our swag stuff, like shirts, like uniforms. There's all types of vendors that go, organizations, landscape designers, contractors. It's an opportunity for us to, for everyone to have, just have conversations with the organizations and the vendors there. We can get passes. It's in Long Beach this year, and then next year it goes back up north. So it alternates between Southern and Northern California. 2 years ago, last year was Palm Springs, right? Yeah, last year was Palm Springs. The year before that, Sacramento. It was in San Diego. So it kind of goes back and forth.
Is there any way to look at a different vendor for the Christmas? Because it seems like they're just repurposing year after year the same thing for what we have at our downtown Christmas. So I'm hoping that whoever goes.
What type of
vendor?
I know for what specific?
The decorations, something that that doesn't look like it's the same thing year after year.
So with the specifically the Miracle Encore and the decor, that was we have to go out to an RFP for it, and to get the best value, we went with a 3-year contract. So that's why you may say it looked the same, maybe the same tree, because it was. Because it was a 3-year contract, and within that contract, you're tied to those elements. We were able to kind of switch out a few things within the same structure. So we already finished our 3-year with that contractor. So come May, we will do an RFQ RFQ for, we'll do RFQ for another vendor.
When that,
Or we'll just do RFQ if that vendor happens to come in,
Mhm.
then we select that.
now, who would we, like myself as a resident, who would I bring it up so that it's not the same thing every single year if they're going to do another 3-year contract?
You're talking about, I can tell you this, I'm not gonna get the same treaty. Or it's not gonna be a walkthrough probably. So we look at different decorum, what is within, the funding frame as well. We have a funding amount that we have to stay within as well for the budget. So you're on, agenda items, future meetings?
Do you have anybody going down the way? Anybody have any more questions? All right, I just have a couple more. La Placita Park. There was a lot of input at the last meeting, a lot of post-it notes. How is that being incorporated?
Through the designer.
Okay, so are they, was there an inventory of those notes? Were those added onto an Excel sheet or digital for review? Or how are those being reviewed?
The architect is putting all of that together and itemizing it, and then we'll share it with the Public Works and our department.
Awesome. And is that something you can share with the commission when it comes through?
I will clarify that.
Okay, and then the timeline on that. Is there any dates on where we're looking at closing and opening La Placita?
At this time, no.
Is there any time that when we get closer to know about that?
Yeah, it's part of a project update, so as I get information, I can share it with you all. Yes, that is standard process. And so, we do have a timeline of try to stay, we want to hopefully try to get it fully completed before the end of the year. So architect took all the community input notes and putting that, assessing what can be done, what's realistic, and staying also within the scope and the budget as well.
I'm glad you're following standard practice. The city's not known for that, so I applaud that. And then, so there was a lot more input at that meeting, as I'm sure you were aware. Is there a plan, again, to incorporate all that with the department? Or to ensure that the consulting is taking that input?
The consultant is very mindful, and it's not his first rodeo with community input, and he really actually appreciates that, and so he's taking it all into what can be done.
Yeah, no, I had a conversation with them afterwards, and they were really surprised at what the community had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then going on to that with the closures, there's groups that do events out of those parks. One of them is looking at maybe possibly doing at Bobby Vega with the rental, with some of the leagues that rent out of there. Is there any way that the department can assist the people that were going to have events at La Placita to have events elsewhere while this process is underway?
Yeah, if a group wants to host an event at a different location, we can definitely work with everyone. We have an application process, and if any events larger than 100 plus that is going to incorporate, food and activities, we also have the special event permit that organizations need to go through.
So I understand for, there's a fee for businesses. Back when I worked at the Parks Department, we waived a lot when we had worked with nonprofits and community organizations that were doing a lot of work in our parks because that was the goal of our parks. Is that something that still occurs?
Not per se, no.
No. Is that up to because of policy, or is that discretion?
There's certain elements that we cannot waive. Insurance is definitely one of them. We have to have it because it's the safety on the organization who's hosting an event, as well as city property.
Yeah, but maybe like permit fees or whatever the department collects.
It depends on the nature of what is happening.
Yeah, because the insurance is not paid to the department, right? They get their own insurance.
It's a third party insurance.
Yeah, but I'm talking specifically about city fees or parks department fees.
With reservations, it's all case by case.
And who has that discretion? Oh, it's case by case, so where does that, on the decision tree?
Are you talking specifically like
If
what
somebody
specific-
wanted, if a community organization wanted to do events in a park and they wanted to get their permit fees waived per chance, is that
We have to
a,
look at what type of event that they're hosting, because if they're hosting an event that they're going to, it's as a fundraiser or, a revenue base, that's by municipal code, current municipal code, that's not allowed.
yeah, but if it wasn't, who would make, let's say they're, they're giving out free backpacks, not raising anything, who would make the determination on whether to charge them?
Depending on the location, that's a conversation that we have within my department as well as the community development as well, because of the number of individuals that would go to a site.
Okay, but so there is a process if a community group, an organization was to come and ask and say that they wanted to, they would get a response and there would be an actual process?
There's certain things that can't be done at the public park.
Yeah, we definitely understand that. But I think us as groups, we want to encourage our community organizations and the groups and schools to actually use our parks and provide the services out there without impeding them or making it as difficult.
The school district would use Court Street and other locations for their back to school event until they outgrew it as a space, and that's why they moved to the Valley College, because they have the space.
Okay, which is great. I was approached by a few different groups on the west side, so I would definitely give them information and follow up with your department. And then two, with the public comments today, is there a way that we can get an assessment of that garden and a correction action plan if there is anything to be corrected, to be presented?
It's an ongoing work. It's land that is through the water department, so it's not ours as a whole as a city, and it's also a very old property. It dates back to the early 1930s, 1940s. So we've asked and looked into water, lines. There are none at the moment. So it's identifying and seeing. So this is part of that park master plan element too, is bringing that in and doing those assessments so that if there are agriculture or other grants that would facilitate or hone in on that space, and these are elements that we can address and utilize and get funding to help assist with it. But yes, it's an old property. Some things need to be modified and updated.
Will we be able to get a staff assessment of that, and with the action plan, or who is responsible for updating which parts?
That's what we're taking it one project at a time. Is what we have to do right now with the capacity that both Public Works and our department has. So we address the high priority needs. If there is a water leak, we do address that. The gate was repaired. Yes, we still have a little bit of a lock issue, but we've had vandalism over the course of time. So we're trying to address that as well.
Okay. And I will ask again on the next commission meeting just to see where we're at with that. And nobody else has any questions?
You actually asked my question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, so we're gonna move on to future agenda items. Does anyone have anything to add to the agenda? Yes.
Could we revisit the time change? Could we go to discuss a 5 p.m. meet instead of a 6 p.m.? This way we're more reflecting what our city council means, because it just seems that when we went from the 4 to the 6 and now here we are, our own city council doesn't meet that late. They went ahead and they moved theirs from their 6:30 to 5 o'clock. Should we reflect the same time frame that they're starting?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in favor of it. I think they get a lot of flack for having that time. People are getting off work, people are commuting. We want it to be truly accessible.
Well,
and I think
we
have
changed
that
the time. What was the vote on this commission? Does anyone know? Do you ever record of that?
But you were the one that opposed it last year, because according to you, when I proposed, let's change the time, you were the
now-
first one to oppose it and said
things
that
change and-
because everyone knows what time they sign up, when we all sign up for this commission, there's a time on that application, and so that everyone knew, and you were very gun-hold on that one.
And I changed my mind.
So I'm just asking for us to bring it up for the next one to reconsider.
I'll just say it right now, I don't want to, but we have 8 other
Yeah,
very
if
brilliant
you-
minds in this room.
Is there a second for her?
I would recommend just waiting until everybody puts their agenda items together first, if that's okay.
Yeah, there's any other.
And then we
Oh,
can
Gotcha.
vote them all at the same time.
I wouldn't want to vote all at the same time because if
Okay.
someone doesn't want
That's
an
what we did
agenda item,
2 Monday
then
nights ago.
Okay.
So that
Then
way
that's
that
fine.
happens.
it's not a good idea.
Well, as of right now, the only, Esmeralda was the only one who had an agenda item.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, she just started, so.
Yeah.
But she.
Well, we
so,
were on that, so I don't know
The
what.
future
Does
agenda.
anybody have any?
I do actually. I want to discuss the, for the future, the futsal, court at Lytle Creek. There's some issues, someone has brought to my attention, no goals.
That, I mean, we can, if you wanna put it on there, that's fine, I forgot, actually, I need to have my list of CIPs, but Lido, the futsal card is being addressed.
But we had a ribbon, oh, okay.
The opening of the court was, the ribbon cutting was for the opening of the court.
Oh,
So
for the court,
the,
okay.
The other, items are, we're working on addressing those.
Okay, so you're working on the goals, getting a goal,
Mhm.
lighting, and, supposedly the man gates, they get stuck, they're not locking properly.
That's something we can get.
Okay, great.
Is there, so is the motion to get an update on that for the next
Yeah,
meeting?
just an update.
Yeah.
That'll be part of the CIP.
Okay.
Anybody have anything?
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, just going back to the 2 requests from the last meeting, which was status about the wood chips at the community garden, and then also update or presentation on marketing plan for Parks and Recs.
And that was really good. We saw that at the presentation from the consultants today, saying that people didn't know the word, that we didn't get marketed. That's what we need. And then, let's see,
So we had a few, are we seconding those, or what do we do?
I was just saying I'm gonna add one. And my concern was La Placita Park, but I think we're gonna have hopefully more answers by the next meeting.
Mhm.
All right. So we have how many motions now?
2.
2. We have your motion.
Well, we're gonna do one.
Oh, we have
one.
hers. Yeah. So we're gonna do hers first.
No. Like mine's done, right? Because there was no second, but I want to
Oh.
suggest another one. Could we discuss for the next agenda item, to have a discussion of a time frame? Because right now we're looking at 7:51, right? And here's what I've noticed. Today's presentation, it wasn't very lengthy, but before, when we would have different departments come in and give their presentation, it really pretty much added to about the same time. And one of the things that I was thinking was, well, if we had some of those handouts, like Waters Aquatics would come, different, the senior center would come and do their presentation. If we had some of those handouts ahead of time, or perhaps a written presentation, like this is what's going on, like an updated, just a brief paragraph of these are the updates. There's a possibility that maybe that staff didn't really need to be here and presenting because it was just an update, so it's just information being given to us, which we could read, right? If there's any questions when we're here at the meeting. So to consider, for that reason, I was thinking pretty much similarly to what the council does, because the council says, hey, we're here at 5 o'clock, and if 10 o'clock hits, we're out of here unless somebody says we're gonna extend it. So if we would say, from 6 to 7:30, and anything that doesn't, from whatever it's on our agenda, it would be tabled for the next commission meeting.
Second.
Okay. We got a second for that. Awesome. And then for Ms. Amanzas,
Real quick, if I could, this is not really amendments, we're not gonna discuss anything yet. But like Commissioner Negrete had said, I know the council gets their agenda about, depending on how the sausage is being made, that they get it about 3 or 4 days before the actual council meeting. I think there's like a 72 hour.
72 hours.
Okay.
So 72 hours is still the
So
Mhm.
the
it would
protocol.
be fantastic, as Commissioner Negretti said, if we got this ahead of time, through mail, electronic means, or by the stork, delivered to us, so we could have these. I mean, it's good when we discuss it as a group, right? Because we get different ideas from different perspectives, but we could have probably, streamlined that
You would have your questions ahead of time and more thorough time to review what's being
to
just
marinate
presented.
on what's going on. So yeah, how about when staff is capable of doing that? Like make it like not mandatory, because it might be too onerous on staff. I mean, I'd like to make it mandatory, but how would that?
Yeah.
Would
There's
that go?
some elements that we can get in advance.
Would
and
that
there's some
would that
like-
further? You think the efficiency of the meetings?
I like that, just like when, what I was saying about Pasita, and I was asking you, could we receive that information? Because I understand that information, whatever you have to present, wouldn't be set in stone, but a draft, and just like when they put the little shading, like this is the shading that says across, it's a draft. So it doesn't get taken out of context, like, hey, this is what's going to happen, but this is a working draft. And to receive that ahead of time so everybody is prepared, or whoever wants to ask any questions for clarification or input.
I like that. So are we making that a motion, or?
Put it on the next agenda.
Yeah, to put in that for the next agenda, and then we want our.
No, I'm gonna pass because it could be discussed.
You said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're gonna do that hard stop at 7:30,
And-
given, unless there is a will of the body to continue on.
Yeah, we'll do a vote. You put
The stack, it's 2 hours, right?
Mm-hmm. It's 2 hours.
So anything beyond the 2 hour mark is when you guys.
Can we change it to 7:30?
the-
No? So we're making it that long. Okay.
Wait, so that's already in the bylaws or something already?
Wait.
Doesn't seem like.
No, but the staff is 2 hours. I'm just saying, our meeting could still be the 6 to 7:30.
Yeah, I mean, the context is, it's always great and welcome that we have public comments. It's not always every meeting, right? So that, there's certain elements of things in conversation. So I get where you're coming from in terms of certain elements within the agenda can be given as part of sent through, because Lisa did ask, hey, do you have a presentation to send? I said, I do not. And I will have it with the meeting. If I was able to get it, then I would have been able to send it virtually. So event-wise, certain things we can definitely send virtually and send it out so that you have it when it gets sent out at that 72-hour notice. But as far as like the time frame, I mean, it's the 2 hours so anything beyond that is up to you guys if you want to extend it or how many questions and details and conversations.
Or if you want to
get
cut it
into.
off at 7:30.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a advisory committee that meets once a month, having the conversations, within a 2 hour time frame is.
But remember,
length of
we're
time.
asking staff to get some agenda items early. Guess what that means?
I mean, we gotta.
You gotta
have a
start.
quorum,
You gotta start doing your homework.
And we have
Remember,
to have a quorum.
don't ask for
earlier.
don't ask for something and then not do it.
Yeah.
That's
Last
my
month
only pet peeve. And
last month we
we're all
didn't
human
have a
beings and
quorum.
professionals here.
Yeah.
But we're asking someone to do something, and if we act like, oh, well, no, you're reading this for the first time, and why'd you even ask for it?
And having quorum earlier. I think we already had discussed that.
I do want to add that because we did have that issue. I know I contacted Lisa and stuff about if we had quorum Wednesday morning, and then I asked for a reminder email. Is there a process for reminder emails to be sent? Because we had that day off on the Monday. Is there like a initial email reminder, post reminder, or process, or how does that work?
You have until the 5 o'clock the day before. So that means you'll get if I get a quorum before 5 o'clock, you'll get your reminder before 5 o'clock the Wednesday before. If I don't get your email before 5 o'clock, then you'll get your notification Thursday morning. but you'll know by Thursday morning whether or not you have a quorum.
What my ask is there a way to send a reminder email to the commissioners when there is no quorum and reminding them that, we have a meeting this week? Can you guys respond?
It'd
But
be
I
great.
think that kind of goes back
Wednesdays.
to us being adults and
Wednesdays.
It would be great
Wednesdays?
if we had a
Okay.
doodle, so we could know who's responded to you and who hasn't responded to you.
I'm sorry, what was that? I
It'd
didn't
be
hear
great
you.
if we
sir.
had some kind of lineup, NFC, AFC, the points with the teams. Okay, I got Commissioner Negrete, she responded. I got Commissioner Harris,
Well,
he's
normally what I'll do is when I get responses from certain commissioners that tell me yes, the commissioners I have not received a response from, they'll get a reminder email.
Okay, there with that.
So it gets whittled down.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had to put everyone,
Some whittling.
yeah.
Yes, so I kind of whittle you down.
Okay.
So
The Brown Act is we can't put
Ariel knew that.
everyone's information into there, and so everyone's blind copied on it.
Yes.
So that there's no more than two or three
But,
conversations.
we can make it kind of like an email of shame. We've heard from, and whatever the response is,
Put
because,
people on blast.
even if it's yes or no, whatever, but no response is the thing that lags the
Right.
whole thing behind.
But, advice to the advisory commission is put the third Thursday at 6:00 in your calendars from now until the end of the year.
It would be nice to
And
know.
then-
If you can't
Yeah.
be a commissioner, then
It would be nice to know on Tuesday.
your council
Yes.
can appoint someone else.
Well,
'Cause
we already have it where we ask for the notification of Wednesday by 5:00.
Yeah.
So if.
Or it used to be
we-
Thursday.
If we know
Mhm.
we
Yep.
don't have a response at 5:05, we'll have a little bit of a nudge and give it that, but ideally for your purpose and ours as well, because of the time, that we notify everyone.
Okay, it's 2:00, that's it.
Okay, 8:00, I move to adjourn the meeting?
We have two more.
So we have to
two
work?
You
more
haven't finished
future
the
items.
agenda item,
Because we're
so, but at the same
candidates.
time,
And the
it is
future
in front
agenda
of your
items.
Future.
hour window.
wait, so
So we need second,
No,
I need a
you-
second on my future agenda items, which was
Second.
the,
Second.
wood chips and the marketing.
Actually, technically, you don't, because you already actually have them on for future agenda items. I understand that it did say for motion for a January meeting, but since this is February meeting, I do believe we should be able to carry them over since they were already approved, correct? And they
Yes.
weren't put on an agenda.
I think so, but also just to capture it in the minutes,
Okay.
because I think we don't
Yes,
have
sir.
a running.
Not a problem, sir. Then Joseph was the second.
So,
Yes,
Move
sir.
to adjourn?
wait,
second?
Wait,
Oh.
could we review what are those agenda items? Because are we still putting the agenda item for the time? Or not anymore?
No, you
No.
said you wanted to take off
No,
the
no,
time.
seconded it.
No, not the time change, the time frame.
No, because it's
We
2
took
hours.
off the time frame as well.
But that has to do with the staff, it doesn't have to do with the commissioners. It's two separate things.
The 2-hour time frame has nothing to do with us as staff.
Yeah,
It's the 2-hour time frame is what is allotted for.
For the
commission.
for the
For the commission,
commission.
like an agenda is 6 to, like it's a 2-hour time frame.
Yeah.
If the commission, we've had commission meetings where they were 30 minutes and 45 minutes, so, it just depends on the discussion, who's, here.
Next at 7:30, next time at 7:30, I'll move to stay and continue. And then if we have a second, we can do it that way. At the next meeting, somebody can move to stay and continue the meeting.
Why don't we make this a future?
Yeah.
Yeah, future.
That's why I was-
Discussion. Move to adjourn.
Okay, so we gotta,
So it's just,
wait, so it is on
You
or it's
have
not
it.
on, because we
No,
could
that
have the
takes-
discussion
that
on the
takes
next one.
precedence. Move to adjourn takes precedence.
He
they're still
seconded.
they're still open on this.
Sal is seconded, right? Yeah.
We have a second for.
The
Okay,
time frame.
we have the time frame question still
As a future agenda item.
Yes.
as a
Okay,
future
perfect.
agenda item.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
and Mr. Donis did a second for the adjournment, so we also have an adjournment out there as well.
Okay, so
Okay.
vote on,
the discussion, the time frame came first,
Yes, that is correct.
so that needs to be,
So we do need to find out if everybody's in agreement for putting the discussion of the
Agenda.
time frame on the agenda.
who votes to put the discussion of the time frame on the agenda, please raise your hand for
wait,
yes.
Esmeralda put the
Oh,
motioned it to have it
On the agenda.
so is there a
Mhm.
second to?
He seconded it.
He
Okay,
originally
so
seconded.
now vote.
Okay, now if you vote yes, please raise your hand.
Actually, verbal, please.
Oh, but
Yes.
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 Okay. And noes?
No.
Okay.
Your quorum's going away, Chair.
Okay.
Hold on, then.
Okay. It still passes. Okay, and now we're on for the
Close it.
adjournment.
Okay, everybody voting to close the meeting, please raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Those who oppose?
8:04.
8:04. Those who oppose? Aye. Damn it.
I don't think we have anybody opposed since people are walking out the door.
I'm opposing. Just to prove a point, huh? Yeah.